Hey guys. Welcome back to Spareroom Machineshop. Well, it's Shannondale Steam Shed. Welcome back to Shannondale Steam Shed. Here we go. Seeing who's about. A couple of people watching, but no one's actually left a message yet. We'll wait till someone else comes along. It's 3 now. Sorry about the ads, guys. I think my channel's actually monetized again, so that's been a bit of an ordeal, but I think it probably could be now. Anyway, morning, David. And hey, Peter. Anyway, this is where we're at. It's all happening. Extra Pancake, g'day. What's happening? We've got jobs happening, pretty much. Where do we start? We'll move on and we'll talk about what's happening over there in that corner at some point in a few minutes. We could talk about the elephant in the room. We could talk about the Husqvarna lawnmower. Look, wheel keeps falling off this Husqvarna lawnmower. Has anyone ever had one? It's pretty much the same as any other lawnmower. Crap. This little stub axle here, it's got a groove in it for a circlet, inverted commas. It's actually got a little, basically an E-clip on it. It's really not helpful. Doesn't hold much. Mark Osborne, good day. Thanks for always being here. I don't know if I say that enough. And it's got 2 bushes in the wheel, and grease in the middle of it, and a washer. And a little plastic rubber cap goes over the top. It's pretty primitive, really. For the money you spend on a lawnmower, you would expect something better than that. But maybe it works. Anyway, apparently the C-clip kept coming off, which is with good and sufficient reason, really, because honestly, it's crap. Show you a picture and show you it in a minute. But I don't think that's really the problem, and I think we can fix it without too many other issues. We'll have a look over here on the bench. Actually made it to the bench. We're on the welding bench anyway. They've got push-in bushes each end. One here and one on the other side. Looks something like this. They're just muck metal, really. It might be impregnated with something. Looks like just a sintered, sort of crappy bit of weight in it. It might be white metal or something. I don't know what it is. But it's worn out. And there's one missing, which doesn't help anything. And that's the clip there, which is a bit crap. So we put a decent circlip on that and that washer back on. I don't think that'll ever come off again. Like a proper circlip that goes all the way around. And a couple of new bushes in it. We're back in business. This is actually the mower that belongs to Tallow Adventures up at Lowana, which is where their other, basically the railway, the terminus of the rail trail is going to be at Lowana. It's the sort of couple of stations. It was 1 station, 2 stations up the road anyway. And you can't run a railway through there because the bridges are out, and rebuilding them means that they won't be out till next winter when there's a flood again. So it's a bit of a difficult thing. But there's a rail trail going in up there, and there's quite a bit to mow up there. So this little Husqvarna mower goes up there, and the wheel fell off. So I've got the job of fixing it. Shouldn't be a big job, I don't think. Up to 5 people there now. So we'll find a couple of bushes, or someone can find a couple of bushes. I'll put it all back together and they can have it back. Good stuff. If I can get it done before Friday, it'd be excellent. And then they can take it with them and it can go to mow some lawns on Saturday, which would be very nice. We could make a couple of bushes. I think I'm just going to buy them. I don't think they'd be very expensive out of Husqvarna. And this is exactly the same system as the John Deere's got in it. Same bits, sort of. So I don't think it'd be a difficult thing to find. Hey, Stuart. Rail trails for walking and cycling on an old line, yeah. It's quite a trek up there to Loanna. It's about 650 feet elevation. What's that? 200 metres or something further up. And there's some beautiful waterfalls and trestle bridges and things that are still sort of good enough to walk on. Probably wouldn't run a train over them, but it's absolutely doable. The rail will go from here out to Picnic Point, which is where the first bridge is, at the Arara River, and then from there there'll be a rail trail all the way to Loanna at this point. So that's the big picture. So the line's got to come out. It's a lot of work involved in getting that far because it's overgrown, and Stuart and some others walked 4 kilometres up there and it took them 7 hours because of the lantana and the overgrowth and the big trees and things. So there's work to be done. But that's what's happening. So I'm fixing the lawnmower. We'll have it back together hopefully by the weekend. It'll be gone next week. That's what we're doing. This weekend I'm going to the Gold Coast, I believe, at this point. Got some castings to do. I've got this one here that's a pattern for a main bearing for a Marshall traction engine, and the core box for the same. I've got to finish this impeller because I did do it, and one of the members of the Trades Guild did a thing that idiot members of clubs do, and decided that if no one else was going to do things his way, he'd leave. And because of that, Dallas took the one that we cast with him. It's an aluminium sample we did. That was 7 hours with machetes, I think. Anyway. Hey, Mark. So, because Dallas is one of those people that do things like that, I've either got to chase up Dallas and get the one that is cast, or cast another one. The box and the patterns there, it's not a big job to pour another one. Got to take this one. I've got this one here too, which is Mark Shed Talk. There's a pattern there for these. I still haven't got an end for that. I've got to print that. Better do that now. But that's for valve guides. So not a big deal, but got to get that sorted. There's also a plate that I've got to do for our donation box, which is up there on the cupboard actually. There, that's a work in progress. So that's got to be done too. I don't know where the pattern is for that. I know I did it, but I've got no idea which box or where I put it, or whether it's in the car or in the glove box or where. I thought it probably was in the car, but I don't know where it went. We'll find it. We've also got to pick up a moulding box for Foundry down here eventually. It's probably going to double as a workbench for a bit, but we will pick that up on the weekend. Call in or catch up with Mark if I possibly can and drop some stuff off to him that I've got. And yeah, that's the weekend. Also, I believe I've sold this Smith's little torch, which I had for sale on Marketplace. I believe it's a genuine Smith's. It's got the book in the bottom that's got Smith's written on it. So that I've sold, so I'll move that on and drop that off at the lady up there who wants it and collect some cash. Pass it straight on for a donation to the Trades Guild for some jobs. I had William here today or tonight, as a club member, talking about plans for this place and sketches and things we were talking about. He dropped off these 3 very sad looking bolts out of an old English saw bench. These are terrible. This one's probably serviceable almost. Right. But these, he'd like to keep the ends of them and put new threads on them. And they're busted off, of course. So the answer will be to cut these here and drill them and make a new piece that fits inside and silver solder them up with new threads on them. Give them a clean up. So that should be doable. We've got a scammer here. If someone would please remove him from the chat, that'd be very good, because I'm not actually down with that. If we've got a blue wrench in the sight, remove. Thank you so much, Peter. 36,000 seconds sounds about right. Thank you very much. Anyway, that's a project that I've got to do at some point. It won't take long. He's got the original nuts, I think. It's just a matter of Mark Osborne, was it? Peter? I don't know. Oh, whoever did it, thank you. So, the Whitworth shouldn't be a big deal. I've run a Whitworth thread, 1/2 inch Whitworth thread over that one, and it's sort of got a thread on it. So that's one job to do. First club job in the shed. I think we've got the lathe running, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. Other job here, bought a fan, or was given a fan. The fan was given away at the right price. There's that, and there's the main part of it there, and it's pretty rusty. So I've ordered new bearings for this. We're going to put new bearings in it. Get that sorted, which would be very good, because it's a bit noisy. Get this going. Set up an electrolysis tank over here. Don't know if there's any action yet. Yeah, there's dirt coming off it, but we'll give it a bit longer. Clean these up because they are pretty rusty, and we'll give them a coat of black. Tidy all that up, and we should have a pretty decent fan at a reasonable price. So that's sorted. Like, I think the bearings were like $6. They're just 22206s or something. Not particularly complicated bearing. So anyway, that's that. Another job in progress. We've got boxes still that we're unpacking. We've certainly gone through a lot of boxes. We've got a lot of empty boxes. We're still unpacking this stuff. We'd really like another shelf unit instead of fridges. I don't know what we're going to do about that. I guess we're going to go and get it or something at some point, but it won't be till after the weekend. And then this cabinet here with the paint in it can go outside and lock up. And the air compressor can go outside and next to it with a cab over it. We'll make something to go over the top of it and lock that up. And the other shelf unit can go beside this, and all this stuff can go on that, and we're pretty well organised, and a lot of that stuff that's up there on temporary shelving can go on it too. Very nice. So, their jobs. All things that are happening. Had a bit of a sweep out in here. One engine less in here because it's gone home, I think, for some work. Back to Shannondale. All good. And so we've got a bit more space. Now, I went to Glen Innes on the weekend, which brings us to a whole new segment of this live chat. We all know all about that, but the new segment's called Is There an Old English Truck in My Future? Right? Answer's no. End of segment, that's it. Good. Yeah. Stuart's laughing. I don't know what he's laughing about. But look, I'm not going to lie. One of the reasons I went to Glen Innes was to look at a truck. Right? Things that are usually too good to be true or sound too good to be true, quite often are. And the truck was a Foden S20, which is the first of the all-steel cab, round front Fodens. It was 8-wheeler with a Gardner 180. Right? Talking my language, it's not a bad looking truck if it was restored. To restore it, you're looking at putting 15 grand into it, honestly, and you've got to have somewhere to put it. And basically, it's just a wreck in a paddock. There's front windows missing. There's associated rust with that. There's panels that need replacing. There's probably half the tyres are serviceable enough to actually put it on something to bring it home. The motor blows smoke. It doesn't blow smoke. It's got issues with rear cylinder head manifolds or something because they're a bit of a cow thing on a Gardner. It ticks some boxes. It's 180 horsepower. It's got a decent gearbox in it, like with the pre-selector. It's my air pre-selectors. It's got a Gardner 180 in it, which is high on the list of things that would be nice in a truck. So it's got enough power probably to pull the roller around. It's a flatbed 8-wheeler, which means that this thing's over height on it. So that's not so good. And it needs a crazy amount of work. Even freeing the brakes up so and the clutch up so it'll move, I would say is a fairly big job without even looking at the engine. And when it was parked there, it was running. We've had it running, but not going to happen. Anyway, in the shed next to it is a fairly tidy, like really quite very tidy AEC Mammoth Major. See, I told you it wasn't going to get any better. Mark II, which makes it pre-1948, doesn't it? Joey box. 4-speed. 7.2 litre AEC engine, the same as London. Well, the same as London bus, more or less. 6 diesel. 125 horsepower. It's been shortened up from quite a long bed 6-wheeler down to a fairly short bed 6-wheeler, and it's got probably a 5 or 6 yard rock body on it. The panels are amazing. There's no rust in it. It runs and starts. It's on Club Rego already. It's got decent tyres on it, and the price is reasonable. Right now, let's have a look at this. I thought I could do this. I don't know how though. Don't know how I put a picture in the chat, but anyway. But it's 180, it's 125 horsepower, which is not really strong enough. If it had 9.6 in it, which is 165 horsepower, maybe you'd think about putting a turntable on it and pulling a float with it with this roller on it. But on heritage plates, like on historic plates, Club Rego, which is it's good, but you're limited to 75%, I think, of your GVM. So if it's got a tear in a GVM or a gross vehicle mass that it's registered for, or it would be registered for on full registration, on historic plates you only allowed 75% of that. So by the time you get a truck and a float, you've got 8 or 10 tonne, conservatively, and you've got a truck that probably would be rated to carry 22 tonne, all up, GVM, and it gives you 12 tonne left over, and the roller weighs 15. So that's not going to happen. Right? Because the thing's underpowered anyway with a load like that on it. It's probably underpowered with 5 tonne on it. At 125 horsepower, there ain't much there. It's got a decent motor in it, but it's torquey, but there's no way it's going to pull a roller. So you're stuck with a flat tray or a tipper, which is very, very nice and quite practical if you wanted to take it around. But the Mammoth Major is still a lump of a truck, even with a little engine in it. And this shed, it'd take up this side of the shed comfortably. So that's not going to happen, not here anyway. for the pricing on it, isn't very, when you take into account it costs you for 6 new tyres and whatever else, it's not terrible, and all it needs is a coat of paint. However, that's not going to happen. At some point, I'd like a vintage truck that would be capable of towing this roller around. I can't see it happening any point soon. So there we go. The short answer anyway is that no, I'm not buying an AEC Mammoth Major with 125 horsepower engine and worm drive gifts and geared axles, because it's going to be absolutely flat out at about 70 kilometres an hour, and it's going to cost you about $1 a kilometre to run on diesel, with even half a load on it. As you're looking at my petrol here, diesel here is $2 a litre. You're looking at probably 50 litres, 100 kilometres, something like that, 40, 50 litres, probably more. So $1 a kilometre, if you've got to run 300 kilometres to an event, or even 100 kilometres to an event, that's $400 return. So there are good reasons why a Mammoth Major with that engine in it and that configuration is not particularly useful. You could probably put a gooseneck caravan on it and it'd be quite useful. But at this point, don't have a shed to park it in, and I don't think an English truck out of a shed's a particularly good thing. It wouldn't last long. So the answer is no. There's no English truck in my future at this point. Everyone who knows me and has known me for more than a few years will know that going back, that it's something I come back to every now and again. It'd be very nice to have, but, and to be honest, the AEC and the Foden are the two favourites. So Mammoth Major, I owned one for a very short period of time many years ago. A Mammoth Major, a Mark IV, I think it's a Mark IV, but not any quicker, and probably not any better, and certainly not as nice as this, and a lot more rust in it. Anyway, there's that. So that's what's happened. That's what I did on the weekend. One of the days. We went up to Low Anna, where this lawnmower's from, and took some section cars and things away from here because they were out in the weather a bit. So that was a couple of trips on Saturday. Sunday I went to Glen Innes, didn't start real early and got home pretty late, and had some good times, saw some nice things, didn't buy any trucks. So that's what happened there. What else is happening? There probably is plenty more fish in the ocean. I'm not sure there's any that nice, to be honest. I've got a feeling if that truck went to auction, it would go a little bit higher than what he wanted for it, quite a bit maybe. And if I had a shed to put it in, it'd come home with me now. But that's how that is. So this week, this has gone back together. Zoom this out. This is a work in progress still. It's starting to come together fairly nicely. There's still jobs that need doing on it. Thanks, Peter. Someone had to say that I was waiting for James, but he's not coming, obviously. Very much a work in progress. This bottom half here hasn't had a lot of maintenance work this time around. I will give it a wipe down. We'll start thinking very seriously about sorting some stuff out on this at some point, close time in the future. I'd like a cabinet on this side, and we've sort of got a concept of that done, and it mightn't be too far away. Up beside these gears, and a nice timber cabinet with flip-out tills. Lay down over centre tills so you can put the chucks in and push them back up over centre. I think that'd be very nice. One in the bottom and one in the top. I've got a brass launch plate to put on there and all that sort of stuff. On this side is going to be a cover, something ornamental. So I believe it might just be in the centre and we put a chest of drawers down this side. I don't know. Little chest of drawers in here might be very nice too. Short wooden drawers. For bespoke launch stuff. So this frame in the middle with the guard over it will probably carry the pedals at some point. Anyway, that's happened. It's all back together and running pretty nice. There's no straight concrete floor, flat concrete floor in the whole shed. So it's got a wedge under the side. It's about 1/4 of an inch here on that little patch. So I don't know whether that's down on that corner over there or this is down on this corner here, but I've got a feeling that this corner over here is down. Don't know why. But yeah, it's a good side, obviously. Anyway, it's all back up and running. We've got the spindle bearings back in. I haven't made this piece for the oiler. I broke this piece in transit this time, which is a bit of a pain. There's a little sight glass there for the oiler. It's broken. Got to make one of them. That's a job for probably the weekend or something. I don't know if I'm around. Sometime I'm going to do that. Some point in the future. Before too long. Still haven't progressed any with our tacho for here. It'd be nice to get that done. Sensor on here. Hasn't happened. I did find a chuck protector, which no one could tell me where it was. I still haven't found the Loctite. I did find my washing soda tonight, so that's why the electrolysis bath's going. It's all had a coat of paint. It's been bare metal stripped and undercoat and a coat of paint. It's not looking shabby, really. I've repainted the whole back frame, and I haven't repainted the bearing journals, but I put all this up and got it sorted. And it's all had a pretty much a brighten up and a clean up, and it's looking pretty good. This hasn't. I'm still in two minds, but I think I'm going to probably pull this down and clean it, paint it, and put it back together. Hey, TNB. There was a heavy welding table ready to be delivered at the... Anyway, I'm too late. I was going to jump on that. If you're watching, thanks Fridge for the link. I messaged the guy, but I didn't get a reply. He just put sold. Anyway, so that's done. This is back on this, but we haven't got this sorted. We already said that. I'd like very much to get onto this in short order, and just a low, basic, single layer circuit board there with some sort of readout on it, something very minimalist. It'd be nice if this only stuck out about 5mm with a lid. I've got a lid there that I've cast. We could get that. I've just found something that I was going to put up and I forgot. I couldn't find it. But anyway, we might do that before bed. I've tossed up out a few ideas, and this was sort of going to be probably overly complicated, but something this sort of style on here. Probably in cast aluminium, painted the same colour as the lathe, but getting it in the space is a bit difficult too with all those buttons and things. So that's sort of the concept. That's what we were thinking of. Probably not red. Anyway, that's happening. What else? Tailstocks had a clean up. It's very good. This needs a new thread in it, I think. I've already done this screw and this screw on this particular machine. These have got new 2mm metric screws in them, which is very nice. This one's about clapped out. All it is a little nut with a tag on it that this screw latches onto. It goes down in here between the two parts of the casting, and it's got a slot in the bottom that it runs in, and it's got a nut inside and a screw with this on here. Wouldn't be a big job to fix it at all. Have to order a piece of thread and a nut, and probably ball this out, so we'll solder a new nut in this piece and put it all back together, and machine the end of the thread and ball this out and put that together and solder it or pin it or Loctite it or something. Make that work. So that's excellent. But that's probably a job that's going to happen really quite soon. Got this guard on, with a shadow there. Also got this light on here for the first time since ever. Works. Doesn't fix the shadow though. Probably would if we moved it out here a bit. Probably wouldn't either, just makes more shadows. So this one's got a cast plate on it and a wire edge on a piece of aluminium sheet, and then the castings at the bottom. Which fits in there nicely. This is not so much a guard, but to stop things falling down the hole, and to look nice. So I think we've achieved those things. This is a nice light, Mark. I've actually converted it to 12 volts, got a 12 volt cob in it, and it's very vintage. It's got a Bakelite switch and proper connections and a Bakelite held hood. So not a bad light. It's been on this lathe since I restored it back in 2010, something like that, 2009. It's never been wired up to work until now, so it's pretty exciting. Got these two oil cans, two of these. I'd like very much to put a rack on here. And Bill had a suggestion to do something with peacock feet. Not sure that's going to happen because I sketched up some ideas. Because I seriously took that seriously for a minute. And not sure it adds the aesthetic as much as it could. Just that's where I'm at. Not sure it really adds the aesthetic, so we might skip that at this point, but we'll think about it still. It's going to live rent-free for a while. Some history of this machine, if anyone's interested. You've probably heard it all so many times. This is 1920s, early 20s, this base here and the tailstock and the headstock. It's launched from Frankfurt and Main in Germany. That's where it was made. and it was a bit of a wreck when I got it. So it's had a clean up. It's looking pretty good, and it's got new bearings in it since I've owned it. So we put new bronze bearing in it, steel on steel in the front, and a new case for the thrust bearing, because the cage was stuffed basically, and the balls were all rusted. So we ended up finding new balls for it and making a new cage because we couldn't get a thrust bearing the right diameter. So that's where that is. This is nice. This part here is a bit more modern. You notice it's a different colour. It's 1960s launch colour. And this modern slide on here is pretty nice, but it was a bit of a mess when I got it. It had this crappy tool post on it. It was all the wrong height. Someone had modified this and cut a piece out to give it a bit more centre height or distance over the slide, and the slides were gone. It wasn't real cheap, but it's got Lorch written on it. In a couple of places. Unfortunately, it's seen some rain damage on this trip too, but it's got Lorch written in there. And it needs a good clean up. I think most of it will come out, I hope. So anyway, I fixed these and I sorted out the oilways in this because someone had chopped quite a bit off the top of this. Like 4 or 5 mil. And all the oilways were basically sticking up here. So I put this piece in here, cleaned it up, machined it down and put this piece in here, and they've gone, filled up all the holes, and it's got an oiler in the back here now, like a button oiler, just there. Turn around here, you can probably almost see it, maybe. Yeah, almost, there it is. So that oils everything internally the way it should be. In hindsight, it would have been better in the front, but anyway. Hey, James. Sorry, we waited a bit. So put a multi-fix on it, which is really good. It's the best. And it hasn't really had a birthday apart from that. It could do with a bit of a clean up, and it'd probably clean up nice, all this paint, and give it a bit of if I pulled it down. But if I do pull it down, I might repaint this with the genuine later Lorch colour, which I've got, and have a bit of a contrast. So anyway, it does need to pull apart, and it does need a good clean. Get some of the crap out of it and give it a clean up. And sort the surface finish out on it. Probably could do with a scrape too, but I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. So that's sort of where we're at with that. The thread cutting attachment is a work in progress. We've all seen this, I guess, but it's got lockdown banjo. And this is all sorted out. It's quite clever, this, I think, even if I say so, I designed it. But the genuine Lorch spanner, LS & Coke spanner, fits these nuts. And you can undo and tighten them up with only one end, which is very nice. This is all on eccentric cams and bushes, so everything's adjustable here, and it's got an adjustable over centre. If we give this a flick over, that doesn't work. If we put this down here, then it goes that way. If we put it up here, then it goes the other way. So all this it's got the same lever on the back as the tailstock's got up there, and that works on a cam. So it's got a T-slot in the bottom here, especially for this. There's a little T-nut that pulls up there. So that locks that in place. We're still working on this distance between here and here. We've had several temporary fixes that work, sort of. So we're going to have another go at this and draw it up again before long and start making some bits for it, or at least 3D printing a prototype so we can make it work. These two C spanners are also Lorch Schmidt spanners, or Lorch spanners. They actually fit the adjustment nuts for the bearings. They could go away. So VFD's wired up, sort of, by looking at the internet and finding a video about one of these and stop motioning through it until I found the picture of the wiring diagram that's on the lid. I don't have a lid, it's here somewhere. I've got a feeling it's got a broken hinge on it, so if I do find it, I might 3D print another one. 70 cycles, I've got that running, which is a bit quicker than 50, but that seems to be fairly comfortable for it. It's got reverser on here, and overhead power takeoff pulley, and 3 cones here and here that match. So if we start that up, it's going to be noisy. Sorry guys. I've got 2 belts, one of them's crossed over. Go and find a screwdriver because I was going to fix that. I've a splinter in my finger, which is why I'm always sucking it. Hopefully it fixes it, but sorry guys, it's a bit sore. I'm going to have a look at it under a light later with a pair of tweezers. So this is the only lockout I've got at the moment. Not ideal. If we put that collar along there, we've got reversing. That's in neutral, and this is reverse. Neutral, and that's forward. So that's nice for thread cutting and so forth. At this point, there's no actual system to lock one out and to make it work properly backwards and forwards. So we're still working on that. I'm thinking a pulley and a counterweight and an over-center lever or something maybe would be really nice. If we put a pulley on here and a cable connected here somewhere, down there with a counterweight, or a balanced weight, I really don't know. If anyone's got thoughts about this, I've said it a few times. Let me know, but I'm still trying to think. We could set up a solenoid box here to pull this backwards and forwards, a little solenoid box on here with a lever. That seems a bit sort of modern and boring, but electric switches on the bottom. That might work, powered off the VFD. Probably work, don't know. We could put a lever with a crank in it and a rod straight down and push that, and it pulls it that way. Push this one and it pushes it back. I don't know. Or we could put a spring on it so that it, when you hold that down and the counterweight to pull it back, something like that. The reason it's not ever been done is I think that, to be honest, never ever worked out a good way to do it. I have to start sketching stuff out and getting some ideas. But it's all working. There's no run out on the pulleys. If we got this shaft not quite square, what you'll find is that this tends to run one way eventually if you leave it idling. A bit sticky in the bearings here until it warms up. But this seems to sit nicely on here and doesn't migrate either way, so I'm pretty happy with that. The belt tension's the same on the three places. There's no belt issues at all. Pretty happy with it. So that's come together very nicely. I think it needs another light on it. I don't know what to do, but I think it wants to go up the top there on that bar somehow without giving you too much shadow over everything. Don't know. Honestly, don't know. It really wants to be out the front. Bar light on an arm or a cantilever or something. I don't know. I've got a couple of bar lights that would work. And like low voltage stuff or 240 volt stuff even. I've got a couple that would work. Don't know any answers on that. If someone wants to sketch something up, very happy. I'll look at ideas. Got these two German, I think, Dutch, Scandinavian. I think they're German. Ouch, that splinter's killing me. Sorry, guys. Think I got it. Yay. I've got these two changing and moving right along. I've got these two jacks. They need pawl systems on them. One of them's missing the pawls and springs and the other one's busted. I'm going to Google to see if bits are available for them. If not, I guess we've got to make them. But it'd be very, very nice to actually be able to buy genuine parts from them. They're not really Tuala jacks. They're a German lightweight version of a leg jack. They're 7-tonners. They're both quite good jacks and they both work. They just need clean up and a coat of paint and pulling apart, some grease and some pawls. So, and this one probably could do with a new handle on it or straighten on the handle. Someone's jumped on that. So, good jacks, just got to sort them out. Another project. This is a Tuala jack, or a railway type Tuala jack. There's one over here that belongs to Tallerwood Ventures. I think there's one on this trolley. There's a Trenton, which is heavy as all get out. Number 100 Trenton, which is exactly the same as a Tuala railway jack, which is this one, Tuala Brothers Proprietary Limited is what this one's got written on it. Tuala Brothers, that was South Australia. But stinking heavy things. And there's a couple of 2 or 3 there. And a couple of bottle jacks, screw bottle jacks as well. Which are various. If you're re-railing rail cars and things, they're useful, I guess. But they'll be helpful. Those 2 jacks will pick up the front of the roller, no worries at all. I'm a little bit impressed with that because I've done it. Anyway, the other elephant in the room is this thing, which hasn't had anything done to it at all. And I feel a bit sad about that, but we need to get in, give it a tidy up, clean up, get back from the coast, from Brisbane this weekend. The next few weekends, I think, will be focused on this. Now the lathe's back together and I've got most of my stuff put away. So, yep. This thing's got a circuit board problem. This little cut-off saw which amazing YouTube subscribers bought, thanks to Craig's workshop. Good little saw, but it's got a circuit board problem. So there's a new circuit board. Don't think anyone's got one in Australia. I'm going to have a look on AliExpress and see if I can pick one up. But if we put a new circuit board in, I think it'll go. At the moment, I think it's the circuit overload's tripping out or non-existent or not working or something. And we need to fix that. Anyway, we'll get that sorted before too long. This should still be bubbling away over here. Have a look. I don't know why I put it over here, but there's a fair bit of rust coming off that if we have a look. Quite a lot of rust coming off that. It's got a long way to go, but yeah, keep at it. Keep at it for a bit, see how it cleans up, but just on a battery charger there with some electric washing soda. There you go, electric washing soda in there for a solution to make it a bit alkaline, so the rust transfers, but it's moving. I reckon probably, don't know, a couple of days and it'll be cleaned up. Turn it around a bit and around a bit and around a bit and do the other one. Give them a coat of paint. The same time I get that box or those two boxes for the lathe made underneath there, I'd really like to put a toolbox or a picnic box or whatever up the back here, day box on the canopy. So I've got to draw something up, and that's going to be polished timber up on there. A few good coats of varnish on it, and a lift-up lid and a lockable lid, putting things like rags and coffee, tea bags. So that's a job. So you might see some woodwork before too long to do that. And those two boxes over there, that one inside, and maybe a chest of drawers in that side. We'll see. I only just thought of that, so we'll have to think about it. Anyway, no progress on this, except we did get it up off the ground. And the shed's looking quite a lot tidier than it was, so we're starting to have a bit of a clean up. And getting stuff put away. I'll get everything together to come to Brisbane probably Friday night. I've got to meet someone on the Gold Coast on Saturday afternoon, so I might not leave here till Saturday morning. And then Sunday I should be at Caboolture or Petrie anyway, so that should be good. Looking forward to that a lot. Anyway, not much else really to say. It's a bit quiet. I've had a week at work. We had a machine out, and until this morning when the problem magically fixed itself, we had a machine out. One of our Barchi Italian copy lathes had notches in the swing mechanisms. Follows a master with 3 cutters on it. And it was getting to the point that it was going clunk, and then you had to push it and you go clunk, clunk, clunk. It's got 2 tapered roller bearings in it. It had another one apart, so I know what's in it. Ordered the bearings and did the top and bottom pivot bearings so that it swings nicely. Didn't fix the problem. It swings beautifully now, but we're getting artefacts in our copies that we didn't have there. Whether it's just a loose master, or whether there's too much flex in the master, or whether there's too much strain still on the springs or on the return springs, or whether could be 1,000 things. It could have a loose hole in the master with grease in it that's starting to resonate a bit, or something like that. It could be that the dust extraction pipe or hose on it is pushing up against the wall and holding it off the work or pushing it too deep on the work or something. I don't believe it's a carriage problem now. I haven't thought about it. I think it's probably a master problem that's moving, I think. That's how I feel. But open to interpretation, and no one really knows. But this morning, Al come in for the day, and he's sort of a bit of a master on those lathes, and he just got in and didn't seem to have any problems with it. So fingers crossed when I get back. Also got Matex running on number 3 lathe, which will be the next one that requires those bearings. But at this point, it's running beautifully. We're going to leave well enough alone, but the bearings are in stock for when we need to do it. Replacing the pivot bearings in that ready to go. I think tomorrow we could probably just run some blanks and see what get some handles out. And Friday's maintenance day. I've got a list of things to do already. So that's how that is. Anyway, yeah, Peter, I'm getting organised here. It's a work in progress, but it's starting to come together. And hopefully before too long, we'll have everything sort of half put together. Anyway, I'm going to go and have some dinner. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I think I'm done. Some point we need to get some 3-phase power points in. We've got 3-phase power here, but there's no circuit breaker in the box and there's no power points, so we're going to have to sort that out at some point. Actually, we've got a couple of power points that are in the wrong spot. It'd be nice to get this up and running. I've already got this going. Get this up and running, get this fixed, get welding station sorted, and get a decent fan. Probably start doing things like putting bandsaw back together and making my Jeremy Schmidt belt grinder and putting a scroll saw back together and selling those things. And putting some walls in here and getting some books out of bookshelves. So that's the thing. Anyway, thanks, James. Thanks, Stuart. Catch you, Mark. See you on the weekend. I reckon I'll be in touch. Take care, David. And I'm out, guys. We'll catch you next time. One last look at the roller. It's Lilith. Needs some work if someone wants to come and volunteer for a couple of days. Anyway, we'll get there. Thanks, guys.